Welcome to another Hoopcast. Pat Dooley and Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. I don't know how many more of these we can do and talk about the same thing. Florida lost. Florida played poor defense. It's just getting to be an old routine there, Kevin.
Yeah, certainly the most alarming thing, I think, was how many wide open dunks that Bernardo had underneath. It seems like teams are really finding holes in the matchup zone, as well as the three-point shooting ability, 10 of 20 again. It was just a really poor defensive effort from a team that really, needed that kind of defensive effort, and you're facing a team on the road that's, even though you're on the road, you're facing a team that was kind of struggling, lost 5 of 6, and it was certainly a winnable game, but Florida just didn't come out with that kind of intensity they needed for a must-win game.
Well, Robbie Andrew calls Florida the cure because they cure everybody's problems. But, their biggest problem is not that they aren't trying to play defense. They can't play defense. If they extend the perimeter, they have nobody to match up inside. If they help out, the three-pointer's wide open. They just aren't athletic enough to play very good defense. And teams have watched this matchup zone now for weeks and weeks, so they've figured out how to beat it, and it's going to be tough for Florida to win any more games the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that has to do with recruiting and certain guys not developing. A guy like Kenny Cagey could be a guy that could have really helped you in those situations. Alan Cheney gets hurt; he could have been a more physical presence. But really, you're kind of left with a team that's limited in athletic ability, and you can't bring someone like Kenny Cagey on the floor, play him meaningful minutes when he in a critical moment late in the first half clanks a 14-foot jump shot. In that situation,
he was feeling it.
And a 6'10" guy shooting that far out of the basket, and I know that Billy really dressed him down during the on the bench for that. But certain situations like that, you would think by March that they would grasp, and whether it's the players or the coaching staff not getting through to them, it's just not mixing right now. And Florida's in a pretty deep rut, losing 3 in a row for the first time this season.
And they aren't getting any help from the SEC office, having backloaded their schedule for the second year in a row. There's no question about that, but it is what it is. And for the Gators now, they go to play Kentucky Saturday, Senior Day. There's a senior this year. Woohoo! Hadn't been many of them, Kevin. In fact, in my column in Saturday's Gainesville Sun, you can read it on Gatorsports.com. I talk about the lack of 4-year seniors at Florida. 41 players recruited by Billy Donovan, not including his underclassmen. 12 4-year seniors. That's not a lot.
Yeah, and but I think the bright spot in this late stretch is that we're seeing a little bit of a sense of urgency from Walter Hodge. That's a senior that's going to be, honored tomorrow, and just a really super kid. He's going to graduate on time, with a degree in recreation programming, and just always really kind of like a fun kid to be around. But he's actually playing fairly well now. 10 of his last 24 3-point attempts, and he's a guy that I think has kind of answered the bell late, but for some reason, the guys around him, the supporting cast, certainly haven't. I mean, it's been a little bit of a struggle late in the season for Nick Calathis, and it's been a struggle for actually a lot of guys, Dan Werner, Chandler Parsons, and they haven't kind of risen to the occasion these last 2 weeks.
No, they haven't, and I think that's the disappointing thing for Florida fans as they watch this team. I hear so much criticism. I hear bench Werner. This is one I keep getting. You got to bench Dan Werner. Well, who are you going to put in? Who's going to go in there and play 30 minutes for him? Ray Shipman? He's a freshman. He's not ready to play 30 minutes. That's just, they are what they are. They're the team they are, and we'll see what the good news for Florida is it's not over yet. I kind of felt like they were in really bad shape in terms of the NCAA tournament, but I got the sense watching some TV this week that they're still there. If they can beat Kentucky and then win a couple of games in the NCAA tournament, it's going to be interesting. If they beat Kentucky and get to the finals of the NCAA tournament, it's going to be, I think they're in. But the key is you got to beat Kentucky. Kentucky's a talented team, but they're struggling. There's talks of Billy Gillespie's on the hot seat already. They've lost, I think, 7 of their last 10. But one of those wins was against Florida.
Yeah, I had a chance to read John Clay's column when I was stuck in the Starkville airport for a few hours.
There is no airport in Starkville. It's whatever it is, Golden Triangle.
The phone booth in Starkville, between Starkville and Columbus. But John Clay's column, was very scathing. They're very restless up there, and certainly, losing to Georgia by 5, and Georgia had one of those games like they had against Florida, where they were just
went off
hot from the field. It was one of those crazy games, but still, if you're Kentucky on Senior Day, you're expecting to win that game at home to finish up at Rupp Arena. But I think this is a critical game too, because getting the 3 seed, you can play Arkansas the 6 in the first round of the tournament, and then the second round, you probably have a better matchup against Auburn than if you're the 4 and you win that first round, then you play LSU. I mean, it would really set up a lot better for Florida if they can win this game and get the 3 seed.
Wouldn't set up better for us though if they get the 4 seed, they play in the afternoon. If they get the 3 seed, they play at like midnight. So well, I don't know how I feel about that, but interesting story about the airport that you were at. One time I went there at like 7 in the morning to catch a flight, and I'm standing there at the ticket counter. And all of a sudden, the woman has a walkie-talkie next to her, and the guy comes on and goes, hello, anybody there? So, yeah, go ahead. This plane's broke. Like, okay, I guess I'm not flying out right now, am I? This plane's broke. That's all you need to know. We'll be coming back to you next time. We'll be talking about Florida's game against Kentucky, and we'll be previewing the SEC tournament. I'm going to say it right now. Tennessee's winning the SEC tournament. They're playing great, and they are getting every call right now. It's unbelievable. They could actually assault a guy and leave him with bloody arms, and it would be no, all ball.
They look very impressive though against
They're
South
good.
Carolina, but I think that physical play, and in March you kind of, the refs kind of rein in. That works to their advantage, no question.
It did against Florida. They came out and punched Florida in the mouth early in that game. Florida recoiled and they got away with it. So I'm telling you, Tennessee's my pick to win the SEC tournament. I'm jumping the gun on it, but we'll be talking about it more next time. Till then, Kevin Brockway, Pat Dooley, the Gainesville Sun, saying so long from the Sunshine State.